Hello, everybody, and welcome back to reviewing every single WrestleMania main event in history. Today, we're on episode 33, reviewing WrestleMania 33, where we saw Roman Reigns take on The Undertaker. This match has been historically panned by a lot of people who've seen it, as this is not a very well Undertaker. He was not as good this late on in his career. He would have a bit of a resurgence a few years later, but this match specifically is pretty bad, and Taker himself has said it was his fault, and Roman was honestly the carrier of this match, which is a little bit of a weird sentence to say, but that's all from hearsay. I don't actually know anything about the match, save the winner, so I'll be giving you my very raw reactions after I've seen it. Hey everybody, just got finished watching the match, and this match, it's okay. It's a little bit below okay, I'd say. This match, it feels boring, but at the same time is eh. And for the beginning 10 minutes, it's passable. It's not WrestleMania main event worthy, but the middle of a B show pay-per-view is roughly where this would end up. And I'm like, okay, like this is not a Mania main event, but I can watch this and not be disappointed. But we'll get to the downgrade of it in a short while. There's a bit of pre-match, as in the build to this match, Reigns had eliminated Undertaker from the 2017 Royal Rumble, and they stared at each other because they were angry at one another. And Jim Ross enters after we see this flashback to do commentary specifically for this match, as he had not done the whole show, along with Michael Cole and JBL. Roman enters first, and as with the past two WrestleManias, we can summarize it with boo. We find out the match is also no holds barred, which I forgot to mention, and Undertaker follows, rising up from the ground on a little panel and taking, as I counted with a stopwatch, 5 minutes and 23 seconds to reach the ring. He gets a lot of pyro and lights, as this match was originally intended as a retirement match. That didn't end up happening, of course, and he would compete for another 3 years, very rarely, but he would still do it. But the ending of this show makes more sense with that going into it rather than just thinking it's just another Taker match. So just keep that in mind once I explain that, but that's in a long time. The match begins and Taker dominates for about 4 minutes and Roman sucks chants break out, but he takes it to the outside and gets thrown into the post by Reigns. He goes into the ring and tries to punch Taker, but Taker just no-sells it, delivers both snake eyes and the following big boot. He sets up for the choke slam, but Reigns rolls out of the ring. He's like, no, I don't want to deal with that. Taker's like, oh, but I wanted to hit him. So Taker rolls out of the ring, and Reigns tries a Superman punch as he's running around the corner, but Taker just wallops him straight in the face. It was one of the few moves during this match that made me go like, ooh, because it looked really good. So Taker catches a leaping Reigns again a few moments later and chokeslams him onto the announce table. Undertaker climbs up onto the table looking for some sort of tombstone, I believe, but takes too long, allowing for Roman to just kind of bounce up and spear him onto the Spanish announce table, which was right next to it. One of the few other spots that made me go, huh, during this one. Reigns gets caught lacking, and a mediocre last ride is delivered once they reach the ring, and it's very just meh. It's okay. It's not amazing, but it's just a power bomb, really, and it's not that good of a power bomb. But nonetheless, they go back outside, and Roman beats him up a little bit further and re-enters the ring to taunt him like ah. But Taker sits up and is like, "Urgh," and Reigns is like, oh shoots, right, he can do that thing. Uh-oh. And both men return to the ring. The match lowers in quality after this. As I said, the powerbomb wasn't great, and then the taunt was cool enough. But once they return to the ring, they brawl for a little bit, and Taker goes outside the ring to grab a chair and beats up Reigns with it. He taunts the chokeslam again, but again, Reigns rolls outside. They return to the ring after this because Taker's like, oh my gosh, because this is one of the dumbest spots of the match. So, if this is the ring, right, these are the two sides you need to know. This is the commentary side. This is the hard cam side. So you're looking at this match from here. Reigns rolls out this way and stands right here. Taker rolls out this way and stands right here. Then they just both roll back in the ring. Huh? What? And it's a strange spot because Reigns goes out, Taker goes out, they go back in at the same time. Huh? What is going on with the context for this? It makes zero sense, but whatever. So Roman hits a pair of Superman punches, but the third gets caught with a chair-assisted chokeslam. Reigns kicks out of that, and Undertaker looks for a tombstone and hitting it. Getting a 2? Huh? This is a tombstone we're talking about here. And the crowd normally for this would probably go like, oh, what? He kicked out of that. But the crowd just kind of goes, oh. They're like moderately shocked by the fact that Roman kicked out. But I think going into this, a lot of people knew that this was going to be Roman's crowning moment, even though the streak had already been broken. He tries another tombstone, but Roman reverses this. This is where the match really gets bad. So he's got the tombstone in, right? Both men are like this. Reigns tries to flip it into his own tombstone, but he can't fully get Taker rotated, so they just collapse on the ground. They try it again, they collapse again. So Reigns gives up and hits a Superman punch. It's really disappointing to see, but, they gave it a shot. Reigns follows that up with a spear, but as Reigns hits the spear, he's like, whew, takes a second to catch his breath, allowing for Undertaker to catch him with Hell's Gate. Reigns nearly submits, but he's able to just barely, escapes and continues the beatdown with a chair while Taker's busy resting himself up. Reigns hits another spear and only gets 2. He tries another, it gets 2, goes for a Superman punch. Then he doesn't go for a cover. This match is so repetitive. It's just finisher fest 8x8. If we thought Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns was finisher fest at 31, this is finisher fest. This is finisher mania, actually, because fest is what Ken Jeong and that other Raw guest host was what they called SummerSlam a few years back when they were doing the guest host of Raw. And that doesn't exist. So this must be finisher mania because that is literally the only offense during this match. So he goes for the Superman punch, hits it as I said, and Undertaker sits up, but he kind of collapses because normally, I'm going to look really bad when I do this because I don't know how to do one of these. But normally when Taker sits up, right, he sits up like this. He just sits up, that's the move. But Taker this time, instead of sitting up like that, sits up kind of slowly, ooh, ooh, ooh. And he can't get all the way up to here. He gets to about here and just collapses. It's kind of sad to see, to be honest, but it's just how Taker be at this point in his career. So after that, Reigns taunts Taker like, ha ha ha, runs the ropes like Braun Breaker does, running really, really quickly, basically like this. And hits a spear for the 1, 2, 3. After that, Reigns celebrates, walking up the ramp, doing his little pose that he does. A lot of pyro goes off, and we see some of the worst camera cuts I've ever seen. You see there's a straight shot of Reigns, and then it cuts to the entire arena and fireworks going off outside. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to hold that shot for about 10 seconds and then cut back to Reigns to finish the sequence, right? Nope. They go Reigns, outside. Reigns, outside. Reigns, outside Reigns, outside. Taker. Horrible camera work. Imagine if we were doing, for me right now, this is basically the level of camera work they were doing. Welcome for those amazing visuals. So after all this silly, horrible camera work, we see Taker, and he very slowly sits up in the ring, and he gets his ring gear back on as we see a recap of the match we just saw. He takes it all in, looks around the ring, looks like he might be a little bit emotional, obviously, as this was his original retirement match, as I said, and very slowly takes off each piece of his ring gear, well, his entrance gear, I should say. He doesn't, get undressed. Takes off his gloves, his coat, and lastly his hat, and lays it all in the middle of the ring, and reaches the ramp after walking out, taking a pretty long time, which is obviously valid in the case of his, lifts his arm up one last time, and sinks down into the ground to end off the show as it fades to black. This match, as I said, is not a very good match. Again, okay at the beginning, passable, but not for a main event, absolutely not. Then it just becomes bad. I'm going to give this a C. I think it could be rated worse or honestly better depending on your viewpoint on it. I think the better part of the match was the end because, well, not like the end of the match, rather the end of the show. Taker's leaving was better than the entire match, especially the end because Roman seems like dismissive when he wins the match because he sets up for that spear, does his Braun Breaker run, boom, hits the spear, and he's just like, and as he's going for the cover, you see him like, 1, 2, 3. And he seems angry about the match, probably because they messed up a couple of spots, which is valid. But it just really doesn't add to the match at all. Not very good, not even close to the top 5. But that's just my opinion. What about yours? What do you think? Do you think I'm completely right? Do you think I'm completely wrong? Either way, leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good dusk, good whatever. Make sure to watch any former or future episodes of this series. And goodbye.